Bitcoin is this massive, global, decentralized thing. There's no CEO, no headquarters, nobody really in charge. So that brings up a really interesting question. How does something like that ever evolve? How does it upgrade itself when there's no boss to call the shots? Well, that's exactly the puzzle we're going to unpack today. This is the absolute core of the issue, right? In any normal company, you've got a CEO, a board, someone who makes the final decision. But Bitcoin was built from the ground up to avoid that. So when a huge critical upgrade is on the table, who actually gets to say yes? And this image here really gets to the heart of the problem. We're talking about a global network with thousands of people. You've got developers, miners, users, exchanges, all acting independently. Trying to get them all to agree on a big change is a monumental task. You can't just send out a company-wide email. You need a different way. So what's the solution? Well, it turns out there's a formal, structured process for proposing, debating, and eventually implementing these changes. It's called the Bitcoin Improvement Proposal, or as pretty much everyone calls it, a BIP. Okay, so let's get specific. What exactly is a BIP? The official definition calls it a design document. Basically, it's the official way to suggest a new feature, to explain why it's needed, and to lay out all the technical details for how it would work. It's the whole package. This blueprint analogy is just perfect. It's the best way to think about it. A BIP isn't just some casual idea scribbled on a napkin. It's a detailed architectural plan. I mean, you wouldn't start building a skyscraper without a precise blueprint that every engineer has signed off on, right? BIPs are that for Bitcoin's code. And that brings us to a really important distinction. On the one hand, the whole process starts out like a community suggestion box. Seriously, anyone can toss an idea into the ring on a developer mailing list. But, and this is a big but, to become an actual BIP, that idea has to transform into that formal, super detailed architectural blueprint that can survive a trial by fire of public scrutiny from experts all over the planet. This system didn't just pop up overnight. Before 2011, things were a lot more informal. Development was basically led by Satoshi and a small circle of early pioneers. But as Bitcoin grew, they knew they needed a more organized way to manage changes. So in 2011, a developer named Amir Taaki wrote BIP1, introducing the whole process. And he didn't invent it from scratch. He was inspired by Python's PEP system, which had already proven to be a great way to manage a big open source project. So we know what a BIP is and why we have them, but how does an idea actually go from someone's brain all the way to becoming a real part of Bitcoin? Let's trace the journey. It all kicks off with an idea, just getting tossed around informally. If it seems promising, the person who proposed it, the author, writes up a formal BIP. It has to follow a strict template, explaining the why and the how. Then comes the really tough part. Intense public review where it gets picked apart, debated, and refined. This can take months, sometimes even years. And only if, and it's a big if, the idea gets broad agreement from the community, do developers start coding and figure out how to get it live on the network. And this right here, this gets to the very soul of Bitcoin. Anyone can write a BIP. You don't need a special license or permission. But here's the catch. If you write it, you have to champion it. It's your job to defend it, to answer the tough questions, and most importantly, to try and build consensus for your idea. It is a huge amount of work. Now, not all BIPs are the same. They generally fall into one of three buckets. You've got your standards track BIPs. These are the heavy hitters, the ones that change the core rules of Bitcoin. Think big upgrades like SegWit or Taproot. Then there are informational BIPs, which are more like guidelines. BIP 39, which standardized those 12-word recovery phrases for your wallet, that's a perfect example. And finally, process BIPs, which define the rules of development itself, like BIP 1, which, created this whole system in the first place. Okay, I know this all sounds kind of formal, maybe a little abstract, but the impact BIPs have had on Bitcoin is incredibly real. This process is literally the engine that drives its evolution. In fact, you can trace almost every single major improvement in Bitcoin's entire history back to a specific BIP. Some of these have been absolute game changers for the whole network. Let's just talk about two of the biggest ones. SegWit, which was BIP 141, was a massive deal. It boosted transaction capacity and squashed a pesky bug, which was the key that unlocked the door for things like the Lightning Network. And then more recently, we had Taproot, which was actually a bundle of 3 BEPs. That one was a huge leap forward for privacy and efficiency, and it made smart contracts on Bitcoin way more powerful. So when you boil it all down, what's the point? Well, the BIP process is Bitcoin's immune system. It's the ultimate defense against centralization. It's designed to be slow, to be careful, and sometimes to be pretty argumentative. But that's a feature, not a bug. It's what ensures that no single person or powerful company can just force a change onto the network that nobody else wants. And that leaves us with this really big question to chew on. This slow, deliberate, consensus-first approach is fantastic for security and stability. But it also means Bitcoin doesn't move at the speed of a Silicon Valley startup. So, is this careful, blueprint-driven method the right way to build a global financial system for the future? Well, that's a debate that is still very much alive and at the very heart of Bitcoin today.